Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Mapa Forward, friends. Today on the podcast, we're talking about coffee people versus coffee professionals. In one of the very early episodes of the Daily Coffee Pro, we did talk about this, probably in somewhere in the first 10 episodes of the Daily Coffee Pro. I think it's time for us to talk about it again. And the reason is because if we're having if we're having a series that's talking about the future of coffee or the future of the industry, I think it's important for us to understand what the difference is between coffee people versus coffee professionals. I know that in a time where we're talking about equality, it seems pretty shit to be separating people out. But I think this is an important distinction. And if you've followed the Mapa Forward podcast, the Daily Coffee Pro, or any of our workshops and presentations, you'll be a little familiar with this concept of the difference between coffee people versus coffee professionals, or at least the way that I define the difference. It's important for us to understand, I believe. Mapa Forward was built and started because there was this thing that I was seeing throughout my 20-year career in the coffee industry. And that was these people who came into an industry thinking it was going to be one thing and bringing this elitist attitude that they either joined because they wanted to be part of the cool kids or because their insecurities needed to be overshadowed by this false sense of, I know what I'm talking about. And I need you to believe that I know what I'm talking about so that you don't know that I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. And this is not new. This is something that has existed for a long time in the coffee industry. Certainly for as long as I've been in the industry. This thing that we do as professionals, well, not professionals, as we're learning to be professionals, people come into our industry and they grab onto the cool thing, or they start talking shit because they don't want people to know that they don't know what they're talking about. I call people that do that kind of thing coffee people. I used to be one of them. I used to be so confused between what was right and what was not right, and how do we even know what's right and what's not right in coffee when it seems to change every 5 minutes. And so I didn't want people to know that I didn't know what I was talking about. So I would just join bandwagons, and usually they were of people that were my head baristas. So yes, I used to be a coffee asshole many years ago. And then particularly during my puppy years, as I was steeped quite deeply in the Australian or the Sydney specialty coffee scene. As you grow as a person in an industry, what should happen is that you question more. You know that saying, the more I know, the less I realize I know? That should be what we're aspiring to as an industry. And I see so much of that happening now, which is fantastic. And the people who are in that category, the open-minded critical thinkers who are realizing as every day goes by, the more research they do, the more of the wizardry and fuckery that's uncovered about the coffee industry, the more they realize, I just need to start asking more questions, and I need to realize, I need to drop this act that I know what I'm doing and just get more professional. They are the coffee professionals. People who are always coming from the perspective of, what can I learn? What can I know more of? What can I explore? They're talking more about that than talking about, this is what I know. And being focused on bringing people down, destroying innovators. And we have to stop that. And here's the reason we have to stop that. If we destroy the people who are innovating in our industry. That sends a signal to anybody else that wants to innovate in our industry. Don't do it because the mob's coming for you if you dare to present a new idea. I can speak to that firsthand. I can speak to being on the receiving end of that mobbing and hearing other people come to me and say, hey, listen, how bad was it for you? Because I've got this idea and I want to present it to the industry, and I watched what happened to you with Elixir and I don't want the same thing. I don't think I can deal with it. So, as an industry, the benefits that we get from transitioning, if you are in the coffee people camp, the benefits that you'll get and we as an industry get from you transitioning into the coffee professional camp is that it's a shift in consciousness. It's a shift in consciousness that results in an elevation of us as an industry into an industry that drives progress and drives change and elevates innovation so that we can stop doing the same shit we've been doing for decades. Nothing really has changed that much in the coffee industry. And we need to be supporting each other and elevating each other's ideas, letting go of the idea that we know what the fuck we're talking about, because we don't. Next week, a new idea is going to come out. Next week, a new way of roasting is going to come out that's just a slight variation on what right now is. How about we stop judging each other? How about we stop using this word of good, this tastes good, or this doesn't taste good? Listen, taste is subjective. Who are any of us to tell anybody else what tastes good and what doesn't taste good? If somebody prefers a dark roast, let them drink a dark roast. For you to go and tell another coffee professional that their coffee tastes shit, or this isn't any good, or didn't you hear what this other person said? This is not the way we do things now. It's just not professional. If you're a member of, or you're a consumer of the Mapa Forward content, you are an outlier in this industry. And the reason you're an outlier in this industry is because you're a critical thinker. You're someone who likes to digest things that challenge you. Congratulations. Our job is to do that. Our job is to bring people onto this podcast that are going to challenge you and that you're going to find interesting. What our job is now, those of us that are coffee professionals, is to continue to set that example so that we can bring more and more people into the fold of being a coffee professional, where they don't have to be right about anything. They're critically thinking and engaging in an open-minded conversation, so that what we can do is show them that the space that is grey between what they think they know and what they know that they don't know is the space that they need to start transitioning into, because we all win. Once we disconnect ourselves from having to be right, we can start accepting that, hey, actually, we need to be paying producers more. We need to find a way to shift the business model so that business owners aren't operating at 3% and they're operating at a much more comfortable profit margin, and in a model where people are paid well. We expect them to do a fantastic job. We expect them to be revenue generating employees that are consciously focused on being revenue generating. But at the same time, they appreciate that that is a part of their job because it elevates their safety in their job security. That's where we want to be operating from. We've got a long way to go, but we have started. We have started the process. I hope that you've enjoyed this discussion. This is one of my more favorite things to talk about on the podcast. And so I hope that it creates the space for you to think about how you're creating an opportunity for people in your dealings, for them to transition from being coffee people to coffee professionals. And the more people we can bring over to being very conscious about that, the quicker and the more successful our transition to a successful industry is going to be. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please put them in the comments below, and any questions that you might have. Please don't forget to subscribe. Peace, love, and peanut butter, friends. Have an amazing rest of your day.